I don't have much time for drawing this morning, so I thought I'd do the challenge of when we don't have much time, but we still want to keep our hand in, still continue to put that ink on the paper. So I thought this little turret would be a great 10-minute drawing exercise. So you're watching this in real time. This is where you get to almost hear me thinking when my pen lingers. So whenever my pen stops, you know that I'm thinking of something. I'm trying to work out where to put this, what angle, or I'm looking to see, does it look right? Can I adjust it slightly at this point? Can I draw a second line over the top, just shifting the angle slightly and work that into my drawing? Well, I've just drawn what's probably the worst part of this drawing, that little section on top. It just doesn't sit very well. And then I work out where to put these little decorative vents in the tower and aligning the side-on viewed ones with that one. So this is where looking at proportions is important. I'm trying to draw this actual size, but in the end we'll see where it goes. And looking at the shapes I'm drawing and the angles that I see is really important for something such as this. See, I've dropped that edge just a little too much from the actual base of the tower where it flares out there. It's just a little bit too wide, and those are the sorts of things that cause problems if we keep repeating that slight creep of extra width, that over the length of the drawing, particularly if it's a longer drawing, that sort of very small error builds up and means the bottom section often runs off the paper or has to be ridiculously compressed. So I want to get, before I lock in the corners of the flared out section, the eave in effect, before I lock in where those corners are, I want to make sure that I can see where the center of this wooden columned area is. There is some sort of bell in here, so this, I dare say, at one stage, if not today, called people in the surrounding suburb of Sydney to church. But I can't really work out where those left and right edges finish until I've got the columns in place, because it does have an almost symmetrical look, and I don't want it to go out too far on one side and not far enough on the other. That's always an issue with this sort of drawing. Now, I am drawing this quickly, so I'm not wanting to get too bogged down in working out exactly what's what. This is the sort of section of an architectural drawing that often we really can just draw the effect. We don't really need to work out exactly what line goes with what column, what can we see here, there, can we see any space right through. But it's creating the effect of all that, not necessarily the exactness. And I certainly didn't capture the exactness of it in this drawing. The one thing I did forget to do, which I really should have done, was the ends of those beams that come out under the eaves that are catching the light more than what's around. It would have been really nice if I could have just drawn those little squares as soon as I'd done the lower edge of the eave of the tower, because then preserving that white would have given a nice little detail, I think decoratively quite attractive. They're almost like little lights on each corner in the daytime. So it would have been nice to try and capture that, and I think because I am feeling a bit time conscious, I just missed it. I'd committed to some hatching lines too quickly, and it left me without that option. So now I'm trying to work out the corners and bring it round so that it seems to meet in the right place. There's something not quite right. Either my circular disc should be more shallow, not as wide from this angle, or my little wooden columns are too short. Probably, given that my whole tower just feels a little too large compared to the original, probably I needed to pull in the sides of the little column section, or maybe just make the columns a bit longer. It's always good to be just thinking, what did I do? What sort of mistake did I make? Because we tend to make the same mistakes because we tend to think the same way. Whether we push a little too far on lengths of lines or whether we pull back a little bit early is the sort of habitual way of thinking and therefore drawing that we do. So if we become aware of how we tend to make mistakes, too much, too little, and so forth, then it can help us when we're in that situation, just pay that extra attention and maybe push ourselves, thinking, well, I normally don't do it quite enough, so I'll just do it a little bit more and we'll see if that's better. And again, this is the way we learn, and it's also the way we fine-tune our drawing technique. Of course, this photo will be on my channel community page if you'd like to have a go drawing this little architectural detailing. I really love these sorts of architectural details. I mean, this one's on a church from the early 1900s, I think, but it's the same sort of detail we actually see on a lot of the houses in Sydney of the same period. And so it's the sort of extravagance which architecturally is quite lost today, not to mention the craftsmanship and the materials. But we can still enjoy them where they are. And I decided just a little bit of decoration that we have in the reference. I'm not putting the decoration of the pressed metal of these sheets in the lower section because I think it's going to overwhelm visually the effect of what we see compared to what's in the reference. What's the effect of what we see in the reference? And that stamped patterning is really just a bit too light. But we do see the effect of, again, I'm not sure whether it's a stamped pattern or whether it's actually the joins of the copper plates of the turret, but we do see those quite clearly. So I do want to represent those in my finished drawing. Just adjusting some things. There is a bit of a slope on that ring of the circular eaves there under the tower. It looks just a little bit drunken, like it's not quite had enough sleep. Now that spacing didn't quite work, but I try and adjust that with where I put a second line for some of these. And remember, as we go up, the angle should increase slightly. So I'm thinking, how can I make this a bit better? So there is a sort of a double line effect, and this is where it's tricky. It can add a great sense of three-dimension to try and use it, but if our lines aren't light or there's just not enough room for two lines, it can change the appearance, the visual sense of what we're looking at quite a lot if we get it wrong. So you'll see down here, I really just did the double line on the lower section. And that makes the sections look a lot more equal, I think. And there's, I think, pretty much done our small turret. Have you got 10 minutes to give it a go? Why not? A great subject. I used a 0.2mm pen for this. And if you got to this point, please hit the like button and leave a comment and tell me if you're going to try and do this in 10 minutes. Yep, it's never too late to see something. I thought I had finished and then nope. So probably this was closer to 9.5 minutes really. Let's see how you go. Can be difficult to know where to stop. But I think we'll stop here. G'day, I'm Stephen Travers. This was a fun little exercise to do, even though I didn't have much time. If we're feeling a bit pushed and that makes us be a little more relaxed and a bit more gestural, then sometimes we can discover really helpful things in those sessions as well. But look, however long your session is, make sure you have fun. I'll see you next time. Bye.